Hello, welcome. Thank you all for joining. I can see folks joining from all around the world. Really an honor to have you guys here. I'm excited to meet our guest. My name is Moneer Scott. I am the Global VP for Teleperformance for DE&I. I have the honor to speak with Eric Love. He is currently the Director of Staff, Diversity, and Inclusion at the University of Notre Dame. Eric Love is a dynamic higher education practitioner and speaker that blends firsthand experience and has a breadth of knowledge and an inspirational message to all of his audiences. Eric is also a member of Kappa Alpha Psi. Amongst the proudest achievements, one of the things that Eric has been able to do was get the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. holiday recognized in the state of Idaho. He was the key leader in that initiative. And so I'm just really happy to speak with Eric. Eric, welcome, and glad we can have you as a guest.
Thank you. I'm so honored to be here, to be interviewed by you, but also to be with your global audience, people from all over the world. This is very exciting.
Right on. So, you've been involved in D&I work for decades, right? You've just been doing this forever. And what got you started?
Yeah, I'm kind of laugh because it literally has been decades. I think I really started doing diversity education as a child. I come from a very diverse background.
Yeah.
I'm biracial, I'm bicultural. I have a lot of religious diversity in my family. My father was African American. My mother is white. My father was from Osceola, Arkansas. And I say was, he passed away a few years ago. My mother is from Liverpool, England. And I grew up in England and Idaho, which explains a Boise State and my connection to Idaho. I moved to Idaho when I was 10 from England, so I do not have an accent, but I can certainly fake one if I needed to. And the religious background I have is, I have on my mother's side, my grandfather was Catholic. My grandmother was Jewish. They got married. That usually doesn't happen. They raised their children, my mother and her siblings, Church of England Protestant. My mom married a Baptist from the South in the U.S., and here I am now at Notre Dame doing diversity training and diversity strategy.
Wow, man, what a journey, and also what a great person to be able to speak to that has such a broad scope of what's happening around the world and kind of also interculturally with himself as well. So, Teleperformance is really coming on strong with DE&I and trying to be part of the change they want to see in the world. What changes do you see in the D&I space today?
Yeah, I think that we are becoming increasingly inclusive. We mentioned I've been involved in this work for decades.
Yeah.
A lot of time early on, it was race and then gender. Now there's so many different aspects of diversity and inclusion and belonging. People do their best work when they feel like they belong at an institution or in a company, when they feel valued, when they can bring their full authentic self. Right. And part of that authentic self might be multiple identities or intersectionality, because we, as individuals, we're complex. So I can be Black and Catholic, or I can be Muslim, and I can have all these different layers. And to be able to bring all of those to the workplace and be valued and accepted, I will absolutely do my best work. So I think that's how it's changing a little bit. I also think that there's been just really poignant and convincing cases for business, the business case for diversity. Like you attract more business with diverse clients.
That's right.
You're a global company. There's people all over the world right now watching. Imagine just the diversity that you have within your company alone. And so there's a business case for it. So I think that diversity, inclusion, belonging is definitely more compelling now. I think there's still some resistance, still some challenges that we have to face, but I think a difference is it's broader, it's more compelling, it's more obvious how important diversity is. And I would say diversity is having difference present. Inclusion is valuing that difference and tapping into it to make sure that every voice or every person has a voice, and every voice has value to it. So we're listening to our diverse clients, our diverse staff, so we're doing the best work we can.
Yeah, this is why I really love Teleperformance, is because we identify, we understand that there's an opportunity, right? We are not perfect, absolutely not perfect, but we are trying to do better. And I can't tell you what that means to me and others like me, and folks watching this. If we can connect and know that we're working for a company that knows we want to make changes and we want to be more inclusive and learning about each other. Um, I think that's a type of employer, or not just employers, but friends and relationships and things that you want to build on. That's going to just help us be more inclusive, not just
Yeah.
at work, but culturally and around the world as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So we had a chance to talk about some of your initiatives that you're working on. I think that a really important aspect that you're doing are the employee resource groups. I mentioned
Yeah.
there's some challenges, there's pushback, there's some people though that don't understand the value of diversity and inclusion, or why even pay any attention to this. I think that we definitely need to address the naysayers, let them know the business case model, let them know that's the right thing to do, let them know all the benefits of having a diverse team. But employee resource groups are huge value. I work with 10 employee resource groups at Notre Dame. There was one when I first started there, and we've helped build over time several more, but they help with recruitment, retention, with the culture of the organization. They make people feel like they belong. They can make a large place feel smaller and manageable, making connections. That provides professional development, leadership development, all of those things that can help. And hopefully your audience knows employee resource groups are
ERGs.
ERGs, organizations that employees can get involved in, sometimes based on a characteristic or a racial, ethnic background, or any dimension of diversity. And of course, they're open to anyone who wants to join.
Sure.
So
That's going to be my next point. They're open to anyone who wants to join. Yeah,
absolutely.
and they're built from the ground up. They're generally people led. Yes, there's some structure that has to be made. It's a business, and you also want to make sure that you're representing the business well. But those are the areas where what I've seen from Teleperformance standpoints with the ERGs, where a lot of really good, honest conversations are happening, where we're sharing good conversations with each other and learning about what's going on for us socially, economically, from a psychological standpoint. Are you seeing that as well, Eric?
Yeah, absolutely. So we like to make data-driven decisions, right? So metrics, analytics, that's all important, but there's also qualitative data that comes from the ERGs, where we get direct feedback on people's experiences and their involvement in these employee resource groups. So yeah, I'm absolutely seeing the value there as well.
What challenges do you see in the D&I space today?
Yeah, so I mentioned a couple, just some people not on board. Obviously, if there's initiatives from the top down, it's great to be driven from the top down, but we also need to have movement from the bottom up and side to side. We need to get complete institutional or organizational buy-in for it to be most effective. But again, when there is pushback or when there are people who don't understand, I don't think we should be condemning or accusatory, but we need to educate people and pull them along. And I don't think that if challenges should go unaddressed. Sometimes people think if there's a criticism of diversity and inclusion, we're just not going to address that. That's a ridiculous thing that they're saying. We should address it and let them know how they're wrong, right? So we can continue to build the culture and bring people along. I also think it's important to be inclusive. So sometimes people just feel like if I'm a white male, I don't understand. I don't really feel like I belong in employee resource groups or all these initiatives. We need to let everybody know that these are institutional or organizational cultural shifts. They're initiatives that everybody's involved in, and everybody has a voice and everybody has a place in the work that you're doing and your team's doing with in the D&I space.
Awesome. Thanks. Hey, so one last question. If there's people out here watching all around the world, and they're learning about DE&I, diversity, equity, inclusion. They're learning about employee resource groups. But really what we're trying to just share is who we are and how we can communicate better with each other, not just culturally, but across the world, right? So how can we do these things? If they don't know anything about DE&I or ERGs, what are some simple things that they can do to help be the change we want to see in the world?
Okay, I think maybe one of the first steps is to define what diversity, inclusion, equity means for your organization,
Right on.
For Teleperformance. And So when you define those terms, then everybody can be on the same page. Then have events like this talk, have more speakers, engage the audience, let them ask questions. And I think that's how you start to build more momentum in these spaces. You're a global company, so you have people from all over the world. Just a few people that I've met, I mean, are like 3 different continents, and I'm just blown away. It's amazing. You've got to tap into those resources
Right on.
and learn from each other. I think that just show that people are valued, show that these are important initiatives, continue to thrive as a company. And I wish you all the best. I'm so excited to see what you'll be doing next.
Awesome. Hey, Eric, I just cannot thank you enough for taking time with us today. You are a fantastic speaker. I look forward to working with you more in the future, sharing more insights. I want to thank everyone for joining this quick talk with us today. Hope you learned something. We look forward to doing more of these. And thanks a lot for joining. We'll talk to you guys later. Bye, Eric. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, now.